Thank you for tuning in to NSUSpartans.com and our weekly football coaches show for the week of October 25th. We're here with head football coach Pete Adrian. And Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, Matt.
Good, good. Well, to recap quickly last week's game, of course the Spartans coming off a tough 17-13 loss to Florida A&M. Sort of like the games before it, two evenly matched teams, just the Spartans come up a little on the losing end. Where did you think that game was won and lost?
Well, I think really what hurt us is when we scored in the fourth quarter to go up 17-10, had the holding call. You know, that just put us back out of field position. And then I think the very next play we got another holding call, which pushed us back a little bit, and we ended up getting a field goal. But I think had we got a touchdown at that time, it puts a lot more pressure on Florida A&M what they have to do at that time, and that was certainly a huge play.
Sure. Looking at the penalties that you mentioned, Spartans only averaging about 60 yards or so in penalties per game this year. Was it just a matter Saturday of guys maybe trying to do a little too much?
Well, you know, it's one of those things they say you can call holding anytime you want, and you know, getting called on the 1 yard line is pretty tough. You know, and if we did it, we did it. As simple as that. But yeah, that was a tough call on us, and you know, it's unfortunate that it was called at that time, and I'm sure that we probably did it.
Now, looking at your defense, another solid performance, other than maybe the one drive at the end of the first half, and obviously the drive in the fourth quarter that you might like to have back. But the defense got on the board for the second time in the last 3 games with the interception return by Barnes. I know you'd like to see those guys making plays, taking the ball away, and getting some points on the board for you.
Yeah, but we had to, you know, we needed to make a play at halftime. Again, you know, we misjudged the pass instead of trying to just knock it down, going for the interception, and that gave him a 40-yard gain, and then we lost a guy in coverage and gave him a 25-yard gain, and you can't do that at the end of the half. You know, we played a very solid half. You know, when they got the ball on the 3 or 8 yard line the first part of the game, had to come away with a field goal. We did really well. Then to come out in the third quarter, I think the whole third quarter was 1, 2, 3 out, didn't establish anything. And again in the fourth quarter, we had a 4th and 3 and thought we made a play, and the guy stayed on his feet. And if we make that football play, there's a good chance we'd win the football game.
Right, right. Now, highlighting some of the other bright spots for Norfolk State on Saturday. After a couple of games, I'm sure he'd like to have done a little better, and Chris Wally came out and had a real nice performance. I believe completed his first 8 passes of the game. What was the key for him finding that rhythm again on Saturday? Well,
he first of all had pretty good protection, and we had a few receivers make some catches for us and whatnot. But you know, Chris always understands the read and whatnot, and he did a nice job of sitting in there. And I think he was 11 for 15, and he had 2 throwaways in there, so he really had a pretty good day of throwing football.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the receivers. One name, someone who stepped up Saturday we haven't seen a lot of before, is Reggie Garrett, a converted quarterback. What did you see out of Reggie? He had 4 catches for 65 yards.
You know, Reggie's a big, tall player, 6'3", 6'4", and he's got decent speed, and we're able to use him on the corner route and on the slant route because you need a big body for that. And he did a real nice job of catching the football on that. And you know, he had a nice play in the Hampton game right there when he got nailed. It was the same thing came inside on that. So he's been in the program for a couple of years. He's our holder on extra points, and again, that's what I really like about some players. They just keep working, and then they get their opportunity and they get a chance to play.
Sure. Speaking of keeping on working, D'Angelo Branch had a solid game. Obviously, they were paying a lot of attention to him, but he ended up with 89 yards. He's within, I guess you could say, shouting distance of the all-time school rushing record. Is that something that you've heard him or his line discuss? I know obviously your first emphasis is to win games, but have you heard him talking about that a little bit?
Well, you know, a little bit, but you know, the bottom line is to win the ball games. I mean, if that means we're going to throw it 50 times, we'll throw it 50. If it means we're going to run it 50, we'll run it 50. And if we get close at the end of the year in the game and it's something within reach, certainly we would try to give them the opportunity to do that. But that's not our goal right now at all.
Right. Obviously, your next game coming up against Howard this Saturday in Washington, D.C. at 1 o'clock. Howard, a team that you've beaten 2 years in a row, but this will be a little different Howard team than you're used to with some new offensive coaches. They've switched to more of an option type attack this year. Is it hard to prepare for a team like Howard on 1 week's notice when they've switched their philosophy since last year?
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, a lot of the coaches from Bethune-Cookman went there, so we know them quite well. And yeah, you're the only option team in the conference, so you see option once a week, so it's assignment football at its best, and you have to really try to do that in 2 or 3 days worth of practice. And think about an option game, you shut it down, somebody misses assignment, it's a big play. You just hope you don't give them big plays. And this is their homecoming, and I know Howard's homecoming is one of the most mythical homecomings, I guess, in black college football. And it's a big day, and you know, that's a main concern for me, because I know their players will be psyched out of their mind to play in front of a full house and a lot of celebrities and things of that nature. So we're going to have to go up there and fight them really hard and and get on the scoreboard early and try to deflate their bubble a little bit.
You mentioned the Bethune-Cookman connection. They have a couple of former assistant coaches on offense from Bethune-Cookman. Is this a week where maybe you'll go back and look at some of the old Bethune-Cookman film when the Spartans have played Bethune-Cookman in the past, just to kind of get your team ready for that sort of attack?
Gee, why didn't I think of that? Oh yeah, I mean, it's just common sense. You go back and look at some past films and some things that hurt us or things that hurt them, and look at that, and I'm sure Brad's doing the same thing up there, looking to see what he did to hurt us with. So, it's an interesting chess match, and of course, Brad is the offensive coordinator at Howard, and he was there for 6 of the 7 years that I was at Bethune-Cookman. He was there, so it's like going back to practice sometimes.
Right. Now, you mentioned coming out and playing hard from the outset, knowing that Howard will be really excited for their homecoming, but what are some of your other keys to victory, both offensively and defensively, for the Spartans this week?
Well, I think start off with special teams again. Overall the special teams play has been pretty solid, and we think we may be able to take advantage a little bit in special teams. And we've known they've run a couple fake punts, so we got to be ready for fake punts in that situation. But we've got to try to get some better yardage out of our kickoff return. I was real pleased last week with Ryan Eastep. Hit a couple nice field goals and hit his points, and did a nice job kicking off. Is very solid with that. Our punting has been consistent throughout, and Aaron Palmer's done a real nice job of coming in and snapping as a true freshman, and Troy's been getting some good kicks off for us now, so I feel really good about that. I think defensively we just got to keep the same intensity we've been playing with. We've really been playing solid all year long, and creating some turnovers, getting some field position, and from an offensive standpoint, we've got to we've been moving the football. We've got to score. We had 350 yards last week, but we're not scoring. We had 340 yards the week before, and you're not scoring. Usually when you get over 300 yards offense, you got 3 or 4 scores on the board. So we got to be able to finish the drives and get some touchdowns instead of field goals.
Sure. Well, Coach, we wish you good luck this Saturday. Again, the Spartans will take on Howard University 1 p.m. Saturday in Washington, D.C. Howard's homecoming, but we hope Spartan Faith will be out in force to support Norfolk State. For more information on NSU, visit our website, nsuspartans.com.